very illegal.
Insanely illegal. Ridiculously, horribly felonious, because they will come to your house in the middle of the night and they will lock you up. Extremely against the law.
Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we are jumping into some r/Legbeard stories. Yes, indeed. We had some requests for Legbeards. It has been a while since I jumped into them, so I dug a few of them up. They are pretty cringe in their own right, but they also show like some of the more dangerous sides to Legbeards, which I think is important. You know, we do that a lot for Neckbeards, and now it's the ladies' turn, because humans in general can be pretty dangerous. So let's get these plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will jump right into things. The pink-haired Legbeard. This wonderful story has a couple of characters. Me, OP, a short Asian kid. Legbeard, let's call her Pinkbeard. Friend, let's call him Steve, an average-looking guy who doesn't do much in this story. Back in my sophomore year in high school, there was this big anime club. I decided to join it because I'm kind of into it, but not a full fanatic. I really liked a few select anime, but they also played a lot of video games, mostly Smash. I liked the people, and I knew a lot of them, so I decided to join. For the first few months, it was absolutely awesome. Every Tuesday, I'd hang out with my friends and play Smash while listening to anime playing on the projector, and it was glorious. Sounds like a good time. One day we were chilling out when the head of the club announced that we got a new member. Typically, this was just to help make them feel comfortable, so it wasn't too unusual. She was pretty cute, albeit a little pudgy. She had a pretty small build, maybe about 5'2", and she was a little bit on the chunky side. Not fat, but like kind of big on the hips. So she thick. Nothing wrong with that. She had on a too tight Zelda t-shirt and an anime backpack, Fairy Tail I think, and also a shit ton of keychains, probably with no keys on them. Her crowning feature was her pink hair, which looked absolutely obnoxious. She had it curled up and styled like a popular Japanese fashion, but it was kind of frizzy and a little greasy. Other than that, she did look pretty normal. She seemed outgoing and moved into a group quickly, eventually settling next to me. I don't mind the company since my buddy happened to be gone that day. I asked if she had a DS and she said, yeah! So I asked if she wanted to play. Eventually she joined and we played a couple matches with her, and she wasn't too bad. She kicked the crap out of me and a couple other people. I told her she was really good, and she got super bashful, but not in the normal kind of way. She got really animated and squeaked out, "Thank you! Getting a compliment from such a kawaii boy like you is so sugoi!" God. Oh no! I felt my insides cringe a little, but it wasn't so bad. I don't know, dude, that's pretty bad. I met a fair share of weebs, and they're relatively cool, so I didn't think too much about it and just awkwardly nodded, telling her that yeah, she's pretty good. She hung out with me during club after that, and I eventually introduced her to my friend. Pinkbeard was pretty nice, but she did have her moments. We walked to the outdoor tables to have a match since the club room was a little loud, and she was latched onto my arm. I figured maybe she was cold since the room was always kinda chilly, but it still felt off. I asked her if she was okay, and I stated it was a bit odd. Pinkbeard, are you okay? Oh, OP! She batted her eyes animatedly and squeezed her body against my arm, getting very uncomfortably close to squishing her boobs on my arm. I'm okay now. It's just so cold. I figured I could warm up with my best friend. She then gave me a clearly fake and animated sneeze before letting go of me. Achoo! Leaving me with several questions. After that, she started to lean on me more and touch me a bit more, all of which I was uncomfortable with. I didn't want to tell her no because I didn't want to make her upset. I knew what it was like to be rejected by people, and I never wanted to make someone feel bad. I just didn't like how she touched me. It was creepy. That's okay to state, OP. By letting yourself be a doormat in this situation and not making her feel bad, you're making yourself feel bad. Always put yourself first. That's just how it's gotta be. One day, she was leaning up to me at lunch and cuddling on my arm. I was at my wit's end as I tried to eat my food with her clinging to the left of my body. Before I felt a rush of Legbeard energy plow into me like a pink-haired truck, she was leaning in to kiss me on the cheek. And that's when I felt everything implode into a Cheeto dust-filled void of terror. I just remember her kissing my cheek and me going, "Whoa, what the fuck are you doing?" She made this face and got animated again, her voice going all high-pitched. "OP, isn't this love?" She got really weird and strangely, most likely fake, violent with no one in particular.
"They don't know who they're messing with. I'm a yandere. No one can take my OP away from me. No one!"
She began to laugh hysterically, which drew over everyone's attention, leaving me red-faced and trying to hide behind Steve. I just wanted to die. She just ran off, laughing like a nutcase, before I awkwardly left and went back to my classroom early, where thankfully I could go inside. I didn't see her much after that, which leads to a pretty anticlimactic ending. She followed me around for a bit and stuck weird sticky notes to my locker, but that eventually stopped when I visibly did not care. In truth, I was fucking terrified on the inside. I'm just guessing that me freaking out scared her off a little. She would occasionally do some weird shit in the halls, but it wasn't directed at anyone in particular. Over time, she started messing with other people and left me alone, but I did watch her hair change slightly. Her hair color changed a few times over the year, but nothing else. TLDR, wasn't a crazy story. Kinda glad it wasn't. Neckbeards are weird people. I think that last part goes completely without saying, OP. But I'm glad to have like a light story to start this off because things are going to get heavy a bit further into the video. Like I stated earlier, you were perfectly within your rights to tell that woman off. You probably should have. Shouldn't say woman, she's a girl. You guys are in 10th grade. Is this what love is? No. Absolutely not. Not in 10th grade. You're not even close. She definitely seems like a weird chick, but it also seems to me like OP could have had almost a thing for her if she had just approached it a bit differently, tried to be a little bit more quote-unquote normal. At least don't drop random Japanese phrases into sentences. She's using them correctly as far as I can tell, but it's still pretty cringe. She's like one of those people that gets a little too absorbed in media. You know, she's watched anime, and this is how that anime character got the protagonist to get with her, so I just have to act like that. She's not really in touch with reality, you know what I mean? And it leads to some very awkward situations. I think we see this a lot in a culture that has become more and more media intensive. You know, people just have this disconnect from reality. I'm doing more research on it. You know, the science is still out, but it is quite a terrifying thing in a lot of cases. And if it's not outright terrifying, then it is at least weird and cringy, which is what I got out of this story. It wasn't a crazy story, but it was a story about a crazy person. So I think it qualifies as quality Legbeard tales. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get into the next one and see how it goes. I dated a neckbeard while a legbeard stalked him. Well, that's tragedy on two fronts, isn't it? Sorry if the formatting is weird. I'm new to Reddit. I've watched tons of Reddit videos and finally decided to share this. Also, English is not my mother tongue. This happened around 5 years ago. I was 13, and I am a huge weeb. Because I was such a weeb, I couldn't really make friends with the same interests, so I decided to join an online chat room. I found an app called Geeking. God, I did hear about that while it was ongoing, and it is a cursed app. I'm sorry already. But let's get into it. This app was not for kids at all, and luckily it was eventually shut down. Geeking was an online app made for role-playing, or just chatting. You could see where the cringe comes. It had tons of chat rooms, and I made a ton of friends there. Then I got a private message from a man that I met in a chat room. We will call him Jaden because he had some kind of thing for King Jaden from Yu-Gi-Oh! At first, talking to him was a lot of fun, and I kept talking to him. I can't say how he smelled like, but he looked like a textbook neckbeard. Fat, with pubes on his face. He was 23 at the time. Very illegal. Yeah, a decade older than a 13-year-old. Stay away. Creepo. He told me he had a thing for me, and I said I'd online date him. Jesus. He decided to put my username in his bio to show everyone that
He was dating me.
look at this child I'm dating, everyone. Uh-oh. Somebody call the menfolk to come hang this dude. Anyways, now's where the real crazy starts, as if we weren't there already. I feel like I'm trying to ease in, but I feel like I'm hitting you guys with both barrels. Jesus. I started getting DMs from a random girl. Let's call her Candy because that was in her username. She was nice at first, and after a few days, I considered her a friend. She started talking about my relationship with Jaden. This continued to the point where it was all that we talked about. Me and Jaden were fine at the time, meaning nothing had happened yet, but it was still very illegal. Quickly after, Jaden started being super sexual with me. He had a thing for BDSM and told me to do what he says because I was his
Submissive slave.
I was still 13, for fuck's sake. I told him that I was uncomfortable with it, but he told me that
I had to do what he says, and that if I don't, then he could go back to his ex.
he'd often compare me to her, saying that she's
A lot prettier than OP, and all over him all the time.
Because I was young and dumb, I went with it. I sent him nudes too. Oof. I was very uncomfortable with this, but I thought I was in love. Kids don't know what that means, man. I was getting closer to Candy, and she showed me what she looked like. She was overweight, looked very dirty, like her hair was super greasy, but yeah, I can't say how she smelled. I told her what was going on with me and Jaden, and she told me,
You should be happy that someone like Jaden wants you.
I was very hurt by this, and I told her how hurt I was, and she just said,
If I was Jaden, I would do anything he wants. He'd be so much happier with me.
I felt my heart sinking. Not only did my friend say these things, but I felt like I was at risk of losing Jaden. Then it hit me. Did Candy know Jaden, or was she basing her opinion on what I had told her? So I asked. She said that she'd met him in the chat room a year ago, but never talked to him in private, but still checked his profile often and found out that he was dating me. I got mad and told her not to talk to me again. She told me that
She'll just start talking to Jaden, and he'll probably want her more than me.
so I blocked her. I told Jaden what happened. He got mad that I was talking to someone about him, and he said,
I should talk to only him, and never talk bad about him behind his back.
I just said I wouldn't do it again. Jaden said he was super mad at me, but I could make it better one way. And that was sending nudes, of course, and having a dirty role play with him, of course. So I did. God, so cringe, dude. My heart breaks for this 13-year-old child. Jesus Christ. This kept going on for 3 more months. Every day I would sext him because
That was the only thing he wanted.
I got tired of this, so I decided to just break up with him. Good move. I told this to him, and he got very angry. He said,
He had tons of girls, and he doesn't need me anyways.
I just said, okay. Then he said,
He could just move on to Candy.
I didn't even reply. I was hurt that he was talking to her when I wasn't even allowed to have friends. I unblocked Candy and told her that she can finally have Jaden. She replied that
She already has him, and they were having sex.
online, lol. I was hurt and I blocked them both. Thank God. They totally deserved each other. Thank you for reading. I hope it wasn't too confusing and that you enjoyed reading it. I don't think enjoyed reading it is the terminology that I would have used. It broke my heart, if that's what you're looking for. Stories like this scare the shit out of me, even like on another level. Because while yes, it is cringe, I also have a freaking daughter, 9 years old, turning 10 this year. She could be 13 before you know it, have all these fucking creepos up in her DMs. So guess what? She does have her tablet, but I keep that shit on lock. I'm like going through messages, unfriending people she doesn't know, blocking people she doesn't know. And yeah, maybe it makes me like sort of a helicopter parent, but what's the alternative? You know what I mean? You can either keep your child from like ever getting online ever, which seems cruel, or you can just throw them as bait to like a 23-year-old neckbeard, which is horrible. I would burn down the entire internet before it ever came to that. God damn it. Part of me suspects that the neckbeard and the legbeard were actually the same person trying to like play you against one another type of thing. Trying to play mommy against daddy, which I guess Don't take that too literally. In the end, there is horrible manipulation going on here, whether it's one person or two people. I would highly encourage them to be sentenced to firing squad. But even that is just maybe too quick and easy. I don't want to go too in depth on like execution methods. But I do have some preferences. In the end, I'm glad that you got away, OP. It's always smart to remember that somebody who's older than you, especially when you're that young, they can easily manipulate and, basically play you like a puppet. And it's just fucking sad. That's what I get out of this whole story. It was cringe, it was pretty horrible, but mostly it's just sad. And of course, I am glad that geeking app got shut down. I never used it very much, but I heard tales. And total cancer, so good riddance. I'm sure they've fled to another nest and shit, probably lurking in the darkest recesses of Twitter or something like that, but this is why we kill on sight. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the cringe. I kind of wanted to ease into it and then ease back out. So let's touch on this third story and see how it goes. My husband and the not missing Legbeard. So my husband's not active on Reddit, but recently told me this golden story that I do not want to hold back from the world. Bless you, OP. If this does not belong here because of the wrong gender or something, please let me know. Please note, English is not my first language, so excuse me for possible mistakes. P.S. The description has gotten way longer than expected, so read TLDR. TLDR, which is supposed to go at the end, but whatever. Legbeard L stalked my husband, not giving up his missing on her introduction week at our university because she followed him around everywhere and eventually told him that
she wanted to have sex with him,
while her grandmother and the whole family were sitting right next to her on her birthday, and everyone could hear. Class act. The characters in this story, husband, who I'll call husband, Legbeard, who I'll call L, and sister of Legbeard, who I'll call P, because she smelled like pee. The timeline. A longer period of time with a gloriously awkward ending at L's birthday. A few words about husband. He never notices when people are into him. Most guys don't. He's a very friendly guy who talks to everyone and treats everyone the same. He used to wear long hair and band shirts, the typical student metalhead. He's since then cut his hair short and started working a regular office job. God, that story's a tragedy in itself, isn't it? During our student time, we were members at 2 student unions. One focused on board games, and the other focused mostly on drinking. A kind of bar where you pay a subscription. The Board Game Students Union was a very typical place to find plenty of Legbeards and Neckbeards. Husband went to the Board Games Union every week, and usually would stay late and play a bunch of board games and drink some beers. Normal stuff, right? During University Introduction Week in our hometown, all new students get to know all the student unions. They sleep in large temporary dormitories and try to find their way around town. In 2008, Legbeard was a new student and was supposed to go to all the student unions and find out more about our city. But that did not happen. Her first union introduction was at the Board Game Union. There she saw husband, and apparently she was so super impressed by him that she did not leave. When Legbeard walked in, husband did the regular introduction story and showed her the board games and the bar. She remained at the union to play games on her first day, abandoning her introduction group even though that's not meant to happen. Husband didn't think anything of it, until eventually it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and she panicked because the dormitory was closed and she could not return. Got him. Since husband's such a nice guy, he and his roommate took her in for the night to sleep on the couch. Oof. Apparently there was already an awkward situation where she was surprised that she couldn't sleep in his room. What? She couldn't stop talking about board games, anime, manga, and very awkwardly, all of her weird fetishes. No kink shaming here. To describe Legbeard, big fuzzy off blonde hair, overweight, she smelled like instant noodles, and was overall just not a very attractive person. She also wore very big glasses. I think you can now imagine this girl. The night passed and she slept on the couch. The next morning, husband offered to take her on the back of his bicycle to her introduction group. She told him,
that wasn't necessary. She would join him in the board game union.
A little bit weird, but he agreed, so there she was. Again. the whole day, glued to the same table that husband was sitting in, just awkwardly fluttering around him. Husband and roommates tried reminding her multiple times that she couldn't miss the curfew again for the dormitory. But, surprise, surprise, she missed the curfew again. Hence, another night on their couch. I know she's got big plans, but this is not the way to go about it. The next morning, husband made her walk to town and to her introduction group since he didn't want her to miss the whole introduction week and was getting slightly irritated by this human version of sticky tape. She agreed and walked to town, but again, surprise! Within an hour, she was back at the board game union. Can you kick her out? Like, this repeated the whole week, missing her curfew every time. Roommates kept taking her in. She didn't get her clean clothes, didn't shower, just spent her days at the board game union and then at their house, keeping close proximity to husband. God, this is getting really creepy all of a sudden. First couple times it's kind of silly, and then after a week, not changing clothes, not showering, just hovering around this dude. What the fuck? On day 5, the university issued an important message that a girl was missing. And who do you think it was? You're right. Ta-da! It was Legbeard. She hadn't shown up to the dormitory, hadn't replied to her parents because her phone was dead, and her parents called the police. Husband and his roommates called the university directly and explained what had happened. The parents came to the university town to pick her up, and that was the end of her introduction week. After the introduction week, she officially became a member of the board game union. Who couldn't have seen that coming? She kept sticking to husband and his roomies, and kept on inviting husband
to go to dinner, come over for dinner, go to the cinema, just hang out with me, goddammit!
He declined all of these invitations until she invited him to come to the cinema with a group of friends. I'll tell you where this is going already. He decided that a group of friends are safe, so he went, only to find out that there were no friends invited. Bro, could have told you. Thus, an awkward date happened, which he did not deem a date, but she definitely did. Fast forward 3 months, she would celebrate her birthday and invited husband and one of his roommates. Out of politeness, they both went to the birthday party, only to find out that it wasn't a birthday party just for her friends, but her whole family was there. Oh boy, Legbeard family. Including her sister P. Her sister P kept glancing and smirking at husband until she dropped the bomb.
So, your husband, Legbeard can't stop talking about you. She told me all about your dates, and you appear to be a good kisser.
In your dreams. Husband obviously got irritated, but it was Legbeard's birthday, so he didn't agree or disagree, just stayed silent. His husband character is just passive as fuck, isn't he? What the hell? Grandma was seated next to husband, but Legbeard kept trying to climb into his lap. Eventually, husband told her to fuck off in a slightly more polite manner, but Legbeard did not get the hint. Eventually, Legbeard's grandmother asked husband if he was the new boyfriend of Legbeard, to which Legbeard replied with a solid, "Yes!" Husband tried to explain politely to Legbeard that they were not in a relationship, and that she had never discussed this with him, and that he felt awkward, to which Legbeard whispered to him,
"I'd really like to have sex with you. Wanna go upstairs?"
Jesus Christ. The only problem was that Grandma, P, the roommate, and Legbeard's parents all fell silent at that exact moment, which resulted in the whole room hearing exactly what she had said. Gotta love that. Husband declined the generous offer and told her again that he was not her boyfriend and that you need to have consent and perhaps a conversation before calling someone your boyfriend. Legbeard started crying, or maybe a better description would be bawling loudly. After which, P took her out of the room to console her. Roommate and husband left after that when the whole family started to stare him down. When they left, P ran after them to offer apologies on behalf of her sister to roommate, but not to husband. Legbeard never showed up at the board game union again. She did make one last visit when she found out that I date husband and was also present at the union. So she showed up one more time to call me bitch. Poor husband. As much as men are painted like caricatures that are just down to fuck anytime, anywhere with anything that moves, that's just not the case. We are people, okay? You need to treat them like a person, even if they do happen to have a penis, okay? This Legbeard honestly thought that just by hanging around with him for long enough, he would eventually be like, you know what, let's bang it out. You haven't showered or changed your clothes in 5 days. You look like a pig with lipstick on, but let's just bang it out. No, that is not how the world works. That is not how any of this works. Smooshing grandma to climb into the husband's lap was also just a hilarious mental image to me. Oh, God. And I love the fact that the family stared the dude down, even though she's the one obviously making, uncouth advances. They're like, why'd you make her cry? You go in the other room and you bang her right now. You guys are all in here listening, and they're like, so what? It's her birthday. Get in there. It is too wild. Oh, I gotta say that I don't feel particularly bad for the husband because he seems like a cardboard cutout, you know? Extremely passive, doesn't voice what he wants, which is the main problem for a lot of the OPs in these Legbeard stories. Legbeards are nowhere near as determined as Neckbeards. Once you tell them off once, they'll probably go away, you know? You just have to state it in clear terms. It just seems super awkward and kind of sus that the husband's like, oh yeah, okay, we'll go to the movies together. There's no friends there, and he still decides, okay, I guess we'll sit through the movie. No. I would get there, see that there are no friends around like she said there would be, and simply say, you lied to me. I'm going home because you lied to me. Goodbye. She'd invite me to the birthday. I'd be like, I'm not comfortable with that. Especially not bringing the actual OP who would have been the girlfriend at the time. Why would you go to the birthday with your roommate instead of your significant other? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But at the end of the day, I ain't trying to attack OP's husband, I suppose. It just seems really ludicrous to me that is how he acted. He's just like, okay, if I keep staring at my hands, nothing's gonna happen. Well, this Legbeard's trying to climb into his lap in front of her whole family. Jesus, that is quality cringe. Mwah! Beautiful. But anyways, friends, I hope that you thought this episode was just as beautiful as I did. Legbeard stories are rare, but I'm trying to get some more of them on the channel because people seem to like them a whole lot. And in order to let me know and help me to dig some more, I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe on the video. Maybe share it around. All that stuff is always appreciated and helps us to grow. I also hope that you check out the link swarm in the description. Not all of those links were on the splash card at the beginning of the video, so go ahead and dig through there if you'd like. And of course, we've got some names on the screen. Those are my wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful, generous patrons. And I would like to thank each and every one of them. But in particular, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Fair, The Last Shinobi, Michael Undead, Aaron W, Mitch, John Hero, Josh K, and Candy Sora. Thank you guys so very much for helping me to live the dream. If anybody else can contribute monetarily, that is obviously massively, massively appreciated. But if you can't right now, then don't worry about it. I just appreciate you coming on through and hanging out with me today, and I hope you'll come on through again and hang out with me tomorrow. In order to do so, you will need to keep yourself safe out there and wash your hands. It is super important, but also don't forget to take some time out and do something that you enjoy today. Something just for yourself. Maybe that's watching ReddX videos, which, you know, I totally approve of. So go ahead and do that, and don't let me stop you, because you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I'll see you in the next one, friends. And until then, bye-bye.